All right. Now, listen, folks. Coming up, we have Gunsmoke, and we have Screen Guild Theater, movie on the radios with Double Indemnity that Larry picked out, and that's got Fred McMurray along with, he tries to murder his wife.
Yeah, Barbara Stanwyck.
Barbara Stanwyck. That's a great show.
And next week, we're going to do the second episode of the Blackbox Theater, The Hitchhiker. So Paul Guggenheimer and Ralph Swain will be in, and Brian Ross, who did the sound effects, will be in here, too.
Who works at our sister station, Cool. And, you know, of course, that was a famous show that none other than
Orson Welles
did that. And frankly, Paul did a great, I think, a better job than he did. We are pleased to bring to our soundstage now a classic starring Orson Welles on the old Mercury Theater of the Year, which brought fame and fortune to this young man, 23 years old, when he did his famous War of the Worlds on Halloween Eve of 1938. But the publicity brought a sponsor in 1939. It was called Campbell Soups that sponsored the show, the Mercury Players. The show offered 30-minute plays with Orson Welles in charge. Then in 1946, Pabst Beer was the sponsor of a half-hour series. Orson Welles was the player in a show called, almost an unknown show at the time, The Hitchhiker.
This is a good one, folks.
A suspense thriller that will scare your pants off. We guarantee it. A show that was performed on the stage of the new Blackbox Theater on the campus of Western Iowa Tech this past April the 26th. It was a Thursday night that Larry and I will not soon forget. Local radio and print personality Paul Guggenheimer is the star of the show, along with, of course, Ralph Swain, who is the head. Actually, he's the chair of the humanities department there at Western Iowa Tech, and it was his brainchild that started the whole thing going.
And
he got.
We're going to do a lot of stuff this fall.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, Paul, just step up to the microphone or say something there, Ralph. Either one of you guys.
Well, again, we really appreciate you bringing us here on the show again, and we're very excited about the Blackbox Theater and also the organization, the nonprofit, which is Great Plains Radio Theater Project.
Right, and coming up in what's going to happen this fall? Something's going to happen this fall.
Well, we're going to keep people on the edge of their seat, but we'll let you know after this. But right now, it was so thrilling the night that we performed The Hitchhiker to have you, Don, and Larry in the theater watching the performance as we did it live, and it wouldn't be nearly as meaningful if we did not have a place to bring it to the radio listeners, and you've provided that stage for us, and we are so grateful that you're now about to present it.
Thank you very much. Also, Brian Ross is the sound effects man on this particular show, as he was on the others. He's also the afternoon personality on our sister station, Cool 95.5 and FRF 99.5 on every FM dial. So now, ladies and gentlemen of Nostalgia Theater, we present Sioux City's own Paul Guggenheimer, starring in The Hitchhiker, next on your radio. The Hitchhiker, starring Paul Guggenheimer and Ralph Swain and Lindsay Washburn. And I think I did hear the guy, the funny guy on there, Lenny Couple.
Lenny Koopel.
He plays what? Now, he plays the guy,
he played the farmer, didn't he? At the service station.
The service station.
No, he played the guy, the innkeeper, or the cafe.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Owner.
And you paid how much for a tank of gas?
What was it?
$3.49. Eddie Dunn played the attendant at the service station.
Can you believe that? I do remember those days, though, back in the 50s when we used to get it for 23 cents a gallon or something like that.
You know, one thing I wanted to mention we didn't a couple of weeks ago when Sorry Wrong Number was on was that these spots that come before and after the show are produced on stage, and those are 3 singers from the Witt Choir. And we produced the actual commercials as they were heard back in the 1940s. I want to be sure to give them some credit, too, because we want to make them a regular part of our productions.
Which is just great. They are.
And speaking of giving credits, I think we all pronounce it 3 different ways. It's Lenny Koppel, who played the innkeeper, and didn't he do a great character voice?
He's funny, and we've seen him on the stage of the community theater and also Lamb's Theater. A lot of productions he did. He did Run for Your Wife, and there's a sequel to that back a year or so ago, and unbelievably funny.
Yeah, he's a very talented actor.
Very good.
And
I loved him in that Sorry Wrong Number. I mean, when he played the killer, I mean, he was just really slimy.
Yeah, slimy, yeah.
We were talking with him down at Kneffler when they had, what was that? We were down at Kneffler for... Oh, that's right. And
recently, too, as a matter of fact. Terry Pritchard of Sioux City, who won about a year ago, won again this time. She said Kate Smith.
Yeah.
Smith was the answer there. That was cool.
They used to be the Good Luck song. I don't know how many of you guys are hockey fans. That used to be the Good Luck song.
Oh, it was.
The Philadelphia Flyers when they won their back-to-back Stanley Cups, and when she was still alive, they actually this would have been the early to mid '70s. They would play the recorded version that you guys just played.
Right.
But when they actually played for the Cup, the clinching game against Boston, they brought her in. She sang it live, brought the house down. I mean, there was no way the Flyers were going to lose in Philadelphia after they did that.
Yeah, I remember that.
I think there was some discussion at one point in time that should have been adopted as the national anthem of America. It seemed like I recall something back when she first started out. I believe it was the 1930s, late 30s when she had her show.
How was it? The song came out World War I. And then she brought it out, introduced it to World War II, and it just took off.
And it seemed like somebody said, well, we should do that for our instead of Star Spangled Banner by Francis Scott Key, to do that. Well, at least somebody brought it up, as they do from time to time.
That was mentioned, and then America the Beautiful was another suggestion.
Yeah,
right.
That was right.
Yeah.
It is 20 minutes after the hour here on Nostalgia Theater, and we welcome, of course, Swain, the Humanities Chair at Western Iowa Tech Community College, along with the star of our show that just ended here, a local radio personality, also on South Dakota Public Radio, most recently, and also a contributor to the Sioux City Journal on Mondays on the editorial page, Mr. Paul Guggenheimer. And, of course, to my right here in the studio, we have Mr. Brian Ross, who is a personality in our sister station down the hallway at Cool 99.5. And first of all, I just want to ask these guys, how did you get Brian involved in the sound effects?
Well, I was looking for someone someone with a lot of talent in audio production for our new media studies program, our mass media studies program at Western Iowa Tech. And, I've known you guys out here at KSCJ for many years. And so I came by and visited with Brian, and I actually had his daughter in my American film class the previous semester. And so I said, I'm going to go talk to Brian. And that's how it started. He was very interested in it.
Did he spend a lot of time having to pick out the sound effects for the shows? You've done like 3 shows, and
it's quite a process, sitting down and going through that and selecting just the perfect music as well as the sound effects. We do some acoustical on stage, just so the audiences can have some interesting things to focus on too. But the bulk of it is the digital effects that Brian's able to find.
Brian, let me ask you this. How long did you take to put this together? I mean, obviously you just do this at the last minute, so you must have been working on this for a while.
Well, a lot of that stuff I had banked anyway. I'm a big collector of sound effects. And before I go on, I do want to say congratulations to your guys' radio show, Nostalgia Theater. Kicking butt in the ratings was absolutely phenomenal. And thank you guys for bringing this stuff back, because there is a market for it. And we're having a great time with it, so I appreciate that. But, a lot of this stuff I had banked anyway. And sometimes we go out and make the sound effects that we're looking for by digitally producing it, or actually going out live and grabbing it somewhere. But a lot of the sound effects we had already, banked anyway, so in our library. So,
how about the levels? Keeping the levels correct so you don't overwhelm the actors, but you got to have the sounds.
Well, I think a lot of that just comes with, like what Ralph had said earlier, been doing this a lot, for many years. I think a lot of it just comes with that ear. You have a trained ear for it. And then when we did the mix down, the post-production with it, Ralph and Paul both came in. We sat down and decided what sounds we wanted to wear. And because, we've added and tweaked a few things. That's the cool thing about today, as opposed to 40, 50 years ago. They didn't have that luxury because it was all broadcast live immediately at that point. And the records, then, of course, they did some tweaking to it when they distributed it out for broadcast later. But I think a lot of it is just, you have a trained ear for it, I think.
Larry and I both used the John Dunning. He's a Denver resident, and he wrote in 1977, he put out a book called Tune In Yesterday.
Right.
And it's kind of a compendium of all the radio shows. And in that, in the story about suspense, he talked about Agnes Moorehead. He also talked about the sound effects guy, and I can't remember his name. The first name was like Howard or something, and I don't have... Anyway,
Bird? There's a Howard Bird out there.
That might be. And anyway, this guy, he did the show. And if you just mentioned, in 1940, when I first came on the air, the first was 43, I believe, 43 for the first time. And then during the 40s, she did that 7 times.
Yeah.
It was live. It was all live. There was no tape, no transcriptions at all. I mean, they did it live it came out of Hollywood. And this guy would do all these little things. Well, when we compared that. Larry and I ran that right after, I forget when, before or after? Was it before or after? I can't remember. We ran it after.
Well, yeah, the week after.
Right, the week after. We ran that. And then we compared it with what we read this just about, 3 weeks ago, I think it was the first, sometime in May 19th. I think it was May 19th when we ran, sorry, wrong number. And you compared the two. I mean, there's no comparison.
Well, and you got to remember, too, they didn't have the luxury that we have today, and my hat's off. These guys were the pioneers.
Right.
When you listen to those old-time radio shows, these guys were the pioneers to what we're doing today, and my hat's off to them, and that's why I find it so fascinating now in Ralph and Paul coming to me and the Great Plains Radio Theater Project. This is going to be huge, and I think as the interest keeps growing and watching this performed live, what it was like, like I said, 40, 50 years ago, to watch it being, you're kind of like reliving history.
That's
if
right.
it's possible, this is the closest thing you can get to it. And unfortunately, we don't have the production or the budget for, the larger stuff. Because you got to remember, when CBS produced this stuff, they had, they allocated $50,000, $60,000 to production. Back then was a lot of money. So they could bring in an actual car sitting in the studio, in one of their studios, and they would slam the door, start it, hit the brakes, squeal the tires. They would actually do that kind of stuff and have a switchboard with an operator sitting at a switchboard. Of course, we don't have that luxury, but we have the beauty of today's technology for it. So,
Paul, what's coming up on your shows? You got some stuff coming up in the fall.
Yeah, we're planning on doing for sure 1984, George Orwell's 1984, and we are going to be performing that at the Orpheum. Can we say the date? We're shooting for October 18th to perform it live, just as we did last year with War of the Worlds. So we're going to invite folks to come in to the Orpheum. We do that once a year in the fall, kind of tied in with Halloween, and we'll have a quiet Please episode that'll go along with that, the thing on the Forble board, and one other one that we're looking for. So we're going to put those together for a special Halloween show. And then a Christmas show coming up in the Blackbox, too, which you might want to mention, Ralph.
At the end of November 28th, 29th, and December 1st, we're going to do a 3-night run of probably 3 half-hour radio mysteries again, new ones. We're trying to assemble a bunch of... for a repertoire, a series that we can then take on the road. So we'll be doing 3 new ones in the Blackbox Theater.
And the reason you're doing 3 nights is because
we sold out completely last April, a week before. One of the nights it's the Friday night at the end of November that we'll have the dinner prior to the show, and then the Thursday and the Saturday night broadcast will be just the show only.
I've not met the president of WIT, Mr. Bob Dunker, but I've heard about him. In fact, I think he was a student there at the very outset, if I recall.
Yes, he's a graduate.
And then some members of my family also were involved as personal friends, my sister-in-law, and the late John Q. Harris, who was on the board. I don't know if you knew John Q. Harris or not. He was on the board at Western Iowa Tech, and heard so many good things. And I know that he would have been the type of guy that would have said, have at it, let's go, because you went to him a little over a year ago.
Yes, we had an 11-month turnaround, which was fascinating, that we were able to move and have our premiere 11 months after I approached Dr. Dunker with my idea of the Blackbox Theater, and we had this huge room that was full of used desk chairs, file cabinets, and within 2 weeks after I presented the idea to him, we had an auctioned everything off. We had several hundred people from around the area come. And then another couple of weeks passed, and we painted it black. And and then I have to say that Tom Kingsbury at KES Productions was very instrumental and supportive in getting the lighting for us and so forth. I want to take real quickly, I want to do a presentation because Paul and I have some gifts for you. And I wanted to show appreciation for the time and the interest that you two have given us, because I know in the 4.5 years you've had this show, you don't regularly have guests. It's unusual. We've been on twice. I think we'll be back again. And go ahead and open those. These are gifts.
Of all, here's a note from you guys, from Paul and Ralph. It says, Don, thank you for your wonderful support of the Great Plains Radio Theater Project.
And same on mine.
So we'll open it up. This is almost like Christmas.
Yeah.
And while you're opening these gifts, I want to mention that the concept came from one of our actors, Doreen Titus. She was in New Mexico, and she found this used bookstore. She called me from the bookstore on her cell phone and said, Ralph, I've got some radio mystery tapes. Do you want them? I said, yes, buy them. So then I went to their website.
What do you got down?
And I found these.
Old time radio's greatest.
I got the Westerns.
Isn't this something?
Oh, thanks a lot,
Amos
guys.
and Andy and Jack Benny and Burns and Allen and Dragnet, the Lone Ranger, Escape, Suspense, A Fibber Begin, Molly, X-1, Gunsmoke. Oh my God.
I got Lone Ranger, Hopalong Cassidy,
20
Gunsmoke, Have Gun, and look at the premiums on the front cover here.
20
on
hours
mine.
of old-time radio classics.
Well, thanks
Yes,
a lot,
indeed.
guys.
Thank you so much.
You know what's really prophetic
This
is
is
the Hitchhiker ends in Gallup, New Mexico, and these gifts came from a bookstore in Albuquerque, New Mexico.
Unbelievable.
Thank you very, very much.
You know, if I could add, so it was funny because my wife wasn't able to attend the premiere of the Great Plains Radio Theater in the Black Box Theater, but she came to a practice, the rehearsal, the night before, and she brought my two stepkids, Brennan and Sammy. Brennan's 10, Sammy's 8. And as they're watching this, you could just see those kids were just mesmerized by all this going on. And Sammy asked my wife, she said, Mom, is this like on television? and my wife said, well, no, it was on radio back years and years ago. Sammy goes, you mean people watch the radios? And she goes, yeah, basically that's true. That's true, honey. That's how it happened. She goes, this is really cool. Maybe we should start watching our radio more often.
I love it.
And I guess if I could just stress this to the folks listening out there, get the people involved and your kids involved with this kind of thing, because it really, really revives the history of the beginning of radio. Everything you see on TV started from radio. That's where it got its beginning. And really introduce your kids to this. And if you can come out and see a live performance or have them listen to this, and truly, like Rick Dees had made the comment, it becomes a theater of the mind, and that's exactly what it is.
And because of that, Brian, the kids and anybody that listens to this type of drama, it engages your mind so much more. You're using so much more of your brain to lock into the story. And you're using your imagination, and the images you conjure up are so much greater than anything anybody can actually show you. That's what makes this stuff so great. And I just want to say to Larry and Don, thank you so much for what you do each week in bringing this stuff back to the airwaves. And the ratings show that the public does, in fact, enjoy this and that they do want it. But also a special thank you just in supporting what we do, because it'd be one thing just to, we have all the great shows from the past, but Ralph and myself and the people at WIT who put together the Black Box Theater and these radio drama presentations, we're trying to keep the art form going and not only find new ways to convey the old classic radio plays, but also maybe someday write some original ones. You know, maybe you guys want to write one sometime, but keep this art form going. And you guys, thanks to what you're doing, it's very much alive and thriving in Siouxland.
Well, like Larry says, preserving the past, that's what we do.
Say, why don't we take just to see if we can get a few phone calls.
Let's do some right now.
Yeah.
239-2101, and Scott, stand by. We're going to see if we'll get some comments. And we'd like to find out what people think of the Black Box Theater presentation from the campus of Western Iowa Tech.
This could be scary.
We'll see. Yeah, right. And, of course, we know that people sometimes, they're a little hesitant, and sometimes they feel like a little awkward, you know, when you come on live. You know, I feel kind of like that way.
No, we're getting some calls there.
Give us a call, 239-2101. Let us know what your thoughts are. We have Paul Guggenheimer, we have Ralph Swain, of course, and we have our good buddy here, Brian Ross, the sound effects man. I'm sure you've listened to him on 99.5 on Cool Radio.
We live in the past and classic rock and roll.
All right, Mark. Hello, Mark. You're on the air with Nostalgia Theater.
Yes, sir. I've never seen the Black Box Theater necessarily, but I do collect the old-time radio shows, and I love them. They're fantastic.
Can I ask you what age group you might be in?
I am 49 years old right now.
All right, so you actually you were not around when radio died in about 1962, which is like 40-some years ago. You would have been just, I mean, really a baby because you had to.
Yeah, that's for sure. I was, but I am a history buff also. So the history of the radio and the stories they told, and it's just out of this world. It is the greatest thing.
What were your thoughts on the show you just heard, the Hitchhiker with Paul Guggenheimer?
Well, actually, I've got the original Hitchhiker with Orson Welles, and I got to say I liked Orson Welles' version better.
All right.
Well, ouch. Well, it is. He was an Oscar-winning performance.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, it was good. Don't get me wrong. It was good.
Thank you.
All right,
but, after hearing Orson Welles, you know.
Oh, yeah.
That's okay. I'm right there with you. He did a fantastic job.
Oh, he really did. I don't know how. I mean, not to take anything away from you guys. You did a very good job on it, but and to keep it going like you're doing is just absolutely the greatest.
How long you've been listening to Nostalgia Theater?
Probably since you guys started doing that there. I was collecting the shows before you guys started on the radio here.
Well, great. Are you from Sioux City?
Yes, sir, I am.
Okay. Thank you, Mark. Appreciate the call.
Thanks.
All right, thank you. Let's go to Chris here. Chris, how are you doing?
Yeah, good morning, gentlemen.
And what do you think about our show we just ended here?
Your show's good. I love it. It's actually, unlike the other guy, I didn't collect it. I came to this stuff new from your guys' broadcast here in Nostalgia Theater.
Okay, and what age group would you be in, Chris?
I'm sorry, run that by me again?
What age group are you in?
I'm 29.
29. Oh, you definitely were not around. Well, that's interesting.
Now, if you go with Ralph back in the day, before he went over to WIT, I actually had one of his classes at Briar Cliff.
Uh-huh.
What was it? The history of film and theater.
Fantastic.
Well, great, Chris. I've had hundreds of students.
Have you guys
I'm sorry if
ever
I don't remember you.
I beg your pardon?
Have you ever thought of getting a hold of the guys who do Rejection Slip Theater out of Des Moines?
I don't think we've heard of that. I've never heard of that. No. Have you heard of that? What's the name of the theater?
They do the same thing that you guys are trying to do with the project up here.
Okay.
They do brand new radio skits and everything else. They broadcast Sunday nights out of an AM station in Des Moines.
Is that the WHO station by any chance?
Yes.
Okay, because they got 50,000 watts. Oh, we'll have to find that. What time does that come on?
It's like 9 o'clock at night. They run for an hour each night, each Sunday.
All right. Well, we'll check it out and see. Thanks a lot, Chris. Appreciate it.
Have a good day, guys.
Right. Let's go to Russ now. Russ, are you with us?
Yes, I am. How are you today?
Where are you at?
I'm in Sioux City.
In Sioux City? And what are your thoughts about the show, The Hitchhiker?
Well, first, I couldn't make it to the... I wanted to say thank you so much for playing it so that I could actually hear it today. And I was just blown away. The sound effects are incredible. And I got to say, everybody did an incredible job. That was just wonderful.
Oh, thank you so much. How long have you been listening to Nostalgia Theater?
Well, I don't know. I've got a thermometer here that says KBCM Big Country from some trivia quiz I won back in the 80s, I think. But I've been listening for a while. And I also wanted to let you guys know that you just recently got a write-up on the OTR mailing list. I don't know if you're aware of that. It goes out over the Internet, and people sign up that are interested in old-time radio.
Wow.
And I'm just sitting there. I read it all the time, and I suddenly see this note from somebody saying, hey, you people, you need to check out 1360 AM in Sioux City. Here's a link to the article at the Sioux City Journal. These guys are just incredible. And then they also had mentioned the Blackbox Theater Project and the War of the Worlds piece. So I was pretty impressed. Word's getting out. That's at lofcom.com.
All right,
thank you.
By the way, I punched in on the computer here just a week or so ago. In fact, I called Larry. I just put in Larry Fuller, old-time radio or something.
Or your name, too.
And you got called up on the screen.
Yeah.
That was neat. That was cool. I thought Gary's on the line. Thanks a lot, Russ. Appreciate the call. You bet. Take care of yourself. Keep listening. Gary.
Hello.
Yes, and are you in Sioux City?
Yeah.
Okay, because we do have a lot of people from out of town, from Rodney, Iowa, Elk Point, South Dakota. We have Homer, Nebraska, Lamar's, Iowa, Mobile, other places as well. What are your thoughts about the show we just had?
Oh, I love the show. I would like to see it in person. How do you get tickets to go to the Black Box Theater?
Okay. Ralph Swain?
We'll have tickets. They'll be $6, and if you go to the dinner, it'll be $15. We'll be getting a lot of publicity out that in the coming months in all the different locations. They'll be published in the lifelong learning booklet that goes out to some 18,000 homes in Sioux City, or just call up at WIT. It'll be the end of November.
And it'll be here before you know it.
And we should mention what we're doing, which is a Christmas Carol, which was the Orson Welles Mercury Theater version of that as well. And we'll be performing that 3 straight nights. So you'll have ample opportunity, unlike some of the folks that wanted to get in. And we felt bad about that back in April. I mean, it's a nice problem to have, to have more requests than you're able to accommodate. But still, you hate to turn people away. So hopefully we'll get as many people as we can for those 3 nights in November and December. And then, of course, coming up in October at the Orpheum. Plenty of seats there. So you'll have all kinds of opportunities to come see us.
Now, Paul, on the Christmas Carol, are you going to do abbreviated one or the hour show?
We're going to do the hour show. We're going to do the whole shebang. And
we play that every Christmas, and Lionel Barrymore, he owned that part.
Yeah, and Orson Welles acknowledged that they were grateful to get him in there to do it, and apparently I haven't actually heard the original. I'm going to listen to it. I don't always like to do that before we perform it, just so we can bring our own, kind of like with the Hitchhiker, we wanted to bring our own sensibility to it and not do exactly what they did, kind of do our own take on it. And so ours will be a little bit different, but we'll also stay true to the traditions. And I mean, it's funny, a couple years back at the community theater, I got to do It's a Wonderful Life, and I did the Mr. Potter, Lionel Barrymore part. Those are big shoes to fill. That guy was a tremendous actor.
Oh, he was fantastic. Well, the whole family.
Orson Welles, for that matter, too. I mean, wow.
Well, we're just about at the end. We've got about 2 or 3 minutes to go here before we sign off. Brian, any final thoughts about...
Well, just, again, thanks a lot to Nostalgia Theater. Appreciate everything you and Larry are doing for us, Don, and for the public out there, just to stay informed about radio of yesterday. And hats off to Ralph and Paul and the Great Plains Radio. I tell you what, folks, you're looking for some great entertainment and relive some history and watch it kind of by reviving itself. You've got to get involved with it and just watch it and enjoy it.
Absolutely, absolutely. Guys?
Yeah. Thanks so much for having us and just for supporting our work. It really is great to have a venue for this. And what better place than Nostalgia Theater? You guys are a hit. You are going up the charts with a bullet.
We doubled our ratings from last year, from 22 to 42.6. 6.
Incredible.
Oh, it's
Well, we'll keep everybody informed on what's coming up on the Black Box Theater and down at the Orpheum.
Absolutely. We appreciate that. We thank you so much. And, Ralph, good luck. And you can count on us, too. All you have to do is just holler, and we're ready to go. And wish you good luck in listening to South Dakota Public Radio. They can catch it on Vermilion in KUSD.
Yep, in Vermilion, exactly. Yeah, it's kind of crosses the border there from South Dakota. Appreciate that, and then hopefully we'll be back again one more time this summer. I think we got one more in the hopper.
The Quiet Please.
Yeah.
We're down to about 20 seconds, so it's time to say goodbye for now, unless you want to give us a little more time, but we don't. No, we have to go. Larry, Brian, say goodbye.
See you, folks. Thank you.
Say goodbye. Good night.
Good night. Thank you very much.
All right, take care.
Good night.
It's nice to be important.
But much more important to be nice. We will see you next week with The Lost Weekend for our classic movie.
There you go.